quality is better than quantity, when it comes to practice. Although I think the tradition has gone in the direction of quantity. That is the origins of the 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. But then it just becomes, at the lips level, blah, 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 and then the pride of accumulating this much and this much and this much. More important is really heartfelt. Much more important. Heartfelt. And then, because it is heartfelt, then the mind settles. In a way, you could say this is sort of the Kagyupa, the early Kagyupa way. Emphasizing heartfelt more so than intellectually engaging or intellectually powerful is the emphasis of heartfelt. Now, heartfelt then can go in different directions, of course. Here in the early Kagyupa tradition, the heartfeltness of your practice, of your dedication, serves as a factor for stabilizing the mind, for building up weight, stability, and firmness of mind. Heartfelt can also go in other directions, I would say. Because heartfeltness is a quality across all spiritual traditions. Some spiritual traditions use this heartfeltness for different kind of purposes. So without kind of going into trying to explain what they use it for, just to point out as a quality, I think it's universal. But how it's applied in, especially in the early Kagyu, I would say, it's so that with this heartfeltness, you have more and more confidence, faith, to let the heart settle, let the mind settle, let the body settle, and in that way reach what's often called equipoise. What is equipoise? Equipoise is becoming settled. Equipoise is becoming even. So the mind becoming, instead of the ups and downs, right? So maybe how we gain a better understanding of what is meditative equipoise, which is the beginning of this next section. It says, as for the introduction to the meaning, introduction to the truth. Meaning here is actually literally truth. As for the introduction to the truth, there are two parts to it. The first part, and these two parts are basically divided into what's called shamatha and vipassana. Shamatha and vipassana are just general terms. Right? We should not make the mistake of you hear the word shamatha and you think, oh, across all different approaches of Buddhist practice, shamatha is the same. No, it's not the same. Also, just because the word vipassana turns up, don't think, oh, this is like, the vipassana they do over there. Even just within the Mahamudra system, it said there is the common shamatha and vipassana. Then there is the using of shamatha and vipassana to introduce us to a deeper understanding of what is mind. Buddhist way of saying what is mind, I think if we translate to common what is non-technical Buddhist language is basically, who am I? Who am I? When all the artificial is stripped away, when all the temporary is stripped away, who am I? And here is where we are introduced to the nature, our nature. Which in some ways, at this point, many of you have read many books that tells you that already. So maybe, when we hear this now, it's not so wow, because you all have already read many things. So try to approach this next part in a more heartfelt way, in a less kind of intellectual way, in a way that is more like you're trying to taste something rather than trying to understand something. Of course, it is about understanding, but maybe don't use that word, trying to understand something. It's no coincidence that in many of these texts, they actually use the tactile experience of taste. They say, savor this, taste this. So the Buddha talked about the single taste of liberation. He says, although I have taught many, many, many teachings, although I've given many, many methods, although I've given many, many practices, 84,000 in all, all the 80,000 have the single taste of freedom, of liberation. So to savor, to taste, to get a taste of what is mine. And this is done through shamatha and vipassana. So the shamatha part is very short. Introducing meditative equipoise as shamatha. And this is on page 51. Or maybe 50 in your text, or maybe 52. 50, 51, 52, around there. It has be introducing the truth. Introducing the true meaning. True meaning of what? Truth of what? The truth of who am I? Am I the body? Am I the thoughts? And am I the feelings? Yeah? So you search through the 5 aggregates. Am I the body? Am I, sensations? Am I perception? Am I all the mental activities? The mental volitional activities? Am I the consciousness? And you search through these 5 groups to see, can I find the mind anywhere there? But first, before you do that, first you are introduced to how when we talk about meditative equipoise, when we talk about, so this is nyamsha in Tibetan, nyamsha. Meditative equipoise in Sanskrit is samahita. Samahita is said, when samahita is paired together with samadhi, then samadhi comes first, and samahita comes in the wake of samadhi. So samahita is a more settled. Samadhi is mental collectedness, you could say, often translated as concentration, which to me it's a little, I don't like basically the concentration. Maybe when I was a kid, my parents was like, concentrate, uh, like concentrate on your, homework, uh, don't, keep thinking about what's on TV. Concentrate. But joking aside, there are people teaching shamatha as concentration, as, this kind of like, uh, they even need to plug their ears uh, and make sure absolutely no sound comes in. And then they try to focus their mind on one thing. That's not the concentration that we're talking about here. That's not samadhi. Uh, The meaning of samadhi here is rather than a scattered mind, a collected mind. Then when samahita is spoken of uh, in tandem with samadhi, then samahita is talking about a deeper settling of the mind. If samadhi is when the mind is all collected now samahita is, which is the meditative equipoise that we translate here. So from meditative collectedness instead of non-meditative and therefore scatteredness. So right now, let's say, before samadhi, mind is scattered. Mind is all over the place. Mind has fallen apart, you could say, into 1,000 pieces. So everywhere, these 1,000 pieces want to know, then complete chaos and exhaustion. So we cultivate samadhi so that all these parts all come back together. Then this is samadhi in the sense of mental collectedness. They come back together. Then samahita, meditative equipoise, is when now not only has it come together, it's settling into more ease and more ease and more ease. It's becoming more and more content and happy to be together and to not move. There is a sense of contentment here. So now this collectedness is no longer fragile. Right? And there is, at the level of equipoise, of samahita, force is not necessary anymore. It's like, what else is there to do? You have fully and finally come to that conclusion and happy with the conclusion. There is nothing else to do. No one to be, nowhere to go. And so this is meditative equipoise. And here it is said, and this is the shamatha that you need. This is the shamatha. This is the calm abiding that you should savor. You should taste. You should have experience of. Then once you have experienced this, once you have tasted this, then very naturally, the mind doesn't even want to move. Much less, the feeling of it being moved. You simply have no interest in moving, in running around, in being distracted, in worrying, in ruminating, in thinking about the past, planning about the future, figuring out the present. All of that, the mind is not interested in anymore. So that's the kind of shamatha